Everyone, today we are going to discuss about the metaphor and the conceptual metaphor.
So firstly, what is a metaphor?
Metaphor are the figure of speech that compare two unlike things.
Metaphors can be found in everyday language, literature, art, and even scientific discourse.
Metaphors can evoke emotions, trigger memories, and shape our perspectives by tapping into familiar association.
Metaphorical expressions are not just linguistic devices, but reflections of how we conceptualize the world around us.
Now another question arises in our mind is metaphor a stylistic feature of language?
No, metaphor is not simply a stylistic feature of language, but that though itself is fundamentally metaphorical in nature.
Okay, is the metaphor part of figurative language?
Yes, metaphor is indeed part of figurative language. Figurative language refers to the use of words or expressions with a meaning that is different from the literal interpretation. Metaphor is a specific type of figurative language that makes a comparison between two unrelated things, highlighting a similarity between them. Unlike similes, which use like or as to make comparisons, metaphors imply a direct comparison without using these words.
So let's now talk about metaphoric versus non-metaphorical language uses. Now let me tell you an example of metaphoric language uses. Example is time is a thief. Metaphorically compare time to a thief, suggesting that time can steal movement or opportunities. And for non-metaphoric language, example is I am driving a car. In this sentence conveys a straightforward observation without figurative language.
Okay, so now let's discuss the importance of these languages. Metaphors enhance language by adding depth and creativity. Non-metaphorical language is essential for clear communication, especially in technical or scientific contexts where precision and accuracy are crucial.
Now let's discuss about Lakoff and Johnson's theory. Lakoff and Johnson proposed that we not only speak in metaphoric terms but also think in metaphoric terms. Lakoff and Johnson theory emphasizing embodied cognition and its role in conceptual metaphors. Lakoff and Johnson showed convincingly that metaphor is pervasive both in thoughts and in everyday language.
So now let's discuss the study of metaphor approach. Firstly, the traditional view. Metaphor is a property of words. It means linguistic phenomena. And then the modern view, that is cognitive linguistic approach. Metaphor, a property of concept, not words. One example of modern use, time thief painting. Time is mapped onto the concept of a thief, highlighting the idea that time can steal moments or opportunities from us.
Yeah, I also have another example like that hourglass art. The concept of time measured by an hourglass is mapped onto a concept of art, suggesting that the passage of time can be seen as a beautiful or artistic process. Okay, now let's discuss about the conceptual metaphor theory. The conceptual metaphor help us understand abstract concepts by linking them to more concrete experiences. They structure our thinking and shape our understanding of the world by mapping one domain onto another. Example is time is money.
Cool. So now let's discuss the properties of conceptual metaphors. Conceptual metaphors are unidirectional. This means that metaphors map structure from a source domain to a target domain, but not vice versa. Example, love is blind. Another property is that the most common source domains for metaphorical mappings include domains relating to the human body. For example, she has a warm heart. Metaphorically links the physical warmth of the heart to emotional warmth and kindness.
About the source and target domain. Target concepts tend to be more abstract, lacking physical characteristics, and therefore more difficult to understand and talk about in their own terms. In contrast, source domains tended to be more concrete and therefore more readily graspable. For example, the project is gaining momentum. The source domain is physical movement, especially the concept of momentum. The target domain progress in a project is more abstract because it lacks physical characteristics.
So now let's discuss about the application of image schema theory to conceptual metaphor theory. The application is that abstract thought and reasoning facilitated by metaphor are seen as having an image schematic and hence an embodied basis. For example, let's take the sentence, I couldn't grasp the concept. In this example, the abstract concept of understanding or comprehension is metaphorically mapped onto the physical action of grasping or holding onto something. This metaphorical mapping draws on the image schema of a container, which involves concepts such as containment, enclosure, and manipulation.
Now let's discuss about the limitation of the metaphor theory. The first one is a cultural association with the colors. Colors have different meaning, symbolism, and association in different cultures. Like in Western culture, the color white is often associated with wedding, hospitals, and angels, and that is often used to convey a sense of purity, cleanliness, and peacefulness. While in the context of India, in some part of India, white is the color of mourning and is worn by family members and close relatives of the deceased during the funeral rites. It symbolizes the departure of the soul from the material world and the hope for the departed to attain moksha.
And the second one is cross-cultural symbols. For example, the swastik symbol, originating from ancient Eastern cultures, signifies auspiciousness and harmony. Conversely, the Nazi swastika, adopted by Hitler's regime, symbolized hate and genocide. Despite visual similarity, their meanings and historical contexts sharply differ.
Now the third one is individual creativity in art. Let's take the example of surrealism. Surrealism celebrates the unique creativity vision of each artist, encouraging them to deliver into depth of their imagination to create artwork that transcend the conventional reality and provoke thought and emotions in the viewer.
While in abstract art, artists strive to convey emotions, concepts, or ideas through non-representational forms, each artist brings their unique perspective and creative intuition to their work, allowing for a wide range of styles and approaches within the abstract genre. Overall, while surrealism and abstract art have distinct characteristics and methods of expression, they both celebrate individual creativity and offer a platform for artists to explore the depths of their imagination and express their unique perspectives on the world.